Very good morning to you. Just tuned in broadcasting from the Royal Kensington Golf Course here, and it's a freezing day, I can tell you that much. We're out in Linksfield, and you just have a look around, and I'm looking at the golf course, and it's this misty morning here, and the sun is breaking through, and whenever that sun breaks through, that's when you know the temperatures are going to drop even more. So it's very cold, but people are flocking in here into this presidential golf day. So President Jacob Zuma is hosting a golf day this morning, and a lot of people out there asking, which other African presidents do you know that are going to be participating in this golf day? Well, I can officially tell you there are no other African presidents playing on this golf day, because apparently most of them are actually only arriving tomorrow. And this golf day is not necessarily for the other African presidents. This is more of a business golf day. So you're going to find a lot of business participating, and this is their fundraising initiatives, and this is how a lot of money is raised for the African continent, and our contribution towards it through South Africa and our host President Jacob Zuma. Well, we always ask about the AU. What does the AU do for us as South Africans, as Africans living on the continent? Some people refer to the AU as a toothless dog. Is that fair? Is that one way of talking about them? Well, let's get a little bit of analysis, and let's talk from civil society and, as I say, what it means for you and I. And here to talk about that is Professor Itumeleng Mosala, and it's so nice to see you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning. It's very nice to be here this morning, Leanne.
It
yes.
is, isn't it? Bit cold, but it is good.
A bit cold, but you know, it's time. It's time, yes.
So we talk about the AU, and we talk about a lot of people, and it hasn't been referred to once as a toothless dog. It's been referred to as many times like that. What is your interpretation of it? Do you think that's a fair judgment of the union?
No, I don't think so. I think given the historical backgrounds of African countries and the experiences of the people of Africa through colonialism into the post-colonial period, I think given the challenges that African leaders had to deal with, an organization like this has served to establish a solidarity that would not have been there between African countries. Remember that we were carved up by colonial countries into small pieces, and we did not know each other. We had cultural differences between us that are a product of colonialism. What the AU has been doing was to keep the continent together, to keep the leaders of the continent together, to keep communication going between African people. And I think we in South Africa could appreciate that even better than anybody else, given the fact that as soon as we were free, we opened up to the whole of Africa. Africa wanted to be here. So this is a very significant occasion, as far as I'm concerned, to see the African leaders here together on our own soil.
Yeah. Some looking at the theme of this particular event, and it's basically throwing forward to 2063, looking at the empowerment of women here on the continent, and yet there's so many other pressing issues. Not that I am pulling down the plight of women, because it's a major issue that needs to be dealt with, but looking forward to 2063, which seems such a long time away, whereas if we look around the continent right now, as you and I stand here speaking, people are dying through wars, people are dying through starvation, unemployment, you name it. There are so many things. I mean, we'll put Ebola up there. Do you feel that the priorities are in the right place?
Well, let me put it this way. Maybe we are in a mess that we are in terms of poverty, in terms of the diseases, in terms of the wars, precisely because we don't have sufficient women leadership on the continent. I think that those issues we have raised are pressing issues, but I'm not so sure that the people who are leading the continent on those issues are an appropriate bunch of people. So I think the focus on empowerment of women is not just empowerment in the sense of bringing women up from below. It's appropriate in terms of making sure that the right people lead the country and the right people lead the struggle on the issues that are pressing for the country.
Yeah. You touched on a very...
I should mean continent.
Continent, indeed. You touched on a very important issue, and it was an issue I wanted to bring up with our previous guests. Both of them are also from the AU headquarters and talking about issues of trade and of economics. Good governance, however, is what is at the heart of it all. And we can put all of these things in place, and yet, if we don't have good governance on the continent, we are never going to move this forward. Now, you talk about the fact that you feel that the right leaders are not in place. What do we do about a situation like that?
Well, I think first of all, we must recognize that we are in a crisis. We're in a crisis of leadership on the continent, and we're in a crisis of organization on the continent. I think our organizations are weak. Our organizations are deeply structurally compromised. Our leadership is compromised, and maybe we need to look at women and youth to try and see whether it isn't possible to really look at the issue of governance. It is everything. Governance is absolutely everything for the continent. And see, where you don't have governance structures that are in place, you end up with the wrong leadership, you end up with wrong decisions, you end up with people who are not accountable. And accountability is one of the greatest weaknesses on this continent. And accountability comes out of absence of governance structures.
And that's, I think, one of the big messages and the key messages that need to come forward here. Just in a nutshell and in closing words, from civil society, what do you think, or what are your hopes for this 25th gathering of the African Union?
Well, I'm hoping for a deep, deep, deep acknowledgement by the leaders of the continent that we're not doing well, we should be doing well. We have tried our best over the last whatever years that the AU has been in existence, but unless we acknowledge the weaknesses, we will not be able to get the solutions. So I'm hoping for a very, very frank discussion, frank acknowledgement, and a decision and commitment to move forward together.
It's been a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for your thoughts, your views. Professor Itumeleng Mosala, lovely to see you again, and thanks. Enjoy the day.
I will indeed. Get some berries out there. Yeah. Thanks.
And go and grab a cup of coffee, because I think you need one to warm up. Thanks, Professor. Thank you very, very much. Well, there you go. That's the perspective of civil society and what we are hoping that'll come out of the African Union Summit. And it's always nice to get that, because it's nice to speak to people that are on the ground, that are listening to the people and the needs and the wants. And I suppose the thing to come out of it is that Africa is in a leadership crisis and something needs to be done. And those are the views of our good professor who spoke to us a bit earlier. All right, I can see lots of people arriving here. In fact, I saw just a few minutes ago, I saw our Minister, Nokwana Mashabane, arriving. Hopefully we'll get the chance to speak to her, and also the AU Commission Chair, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. Hopefully we'll be able to say a few words to her as well. Stay tuned to this broadcast.